done the location check. So thank you so much for your participation. So I hope you will stay engaged with us. You will use the chat box, and also use the emoji reactions if you have, any reactions to what we are saying here. All right. Okay, let me run through the slides. So here are our agendas for today. Okay, so I'm not going to go on and read the whole agenda as you can read, but I'm just going to highlight a few important items that we're going to go through today. Yeah. So the first one, definitely we're going to have a fun time, a little bit of fun time, ice breaking. We're going to have a pop quiz. Yeah. And then we are going to have a keynote address, Leading to Inspire Inclusion, by our Miss SoHyun Kang. Yeah. And our highlights of the day is definitely our fireside chat, and it's a moderated session to be run by Clarice. Sorry if I got your name wrong again. And another highlights will be the announcement of the Post and Snap winners. Okay. So that's me. I'm Shah. I don't want to mention my whole name. It's very long. I'm Shah and I'm your MC for today. Just a little bit of background about myself. I'm actually the head of training at the ISIO Sdn Bhd in Kuala Lumpur. And I'm also the PMI Malaysia chapter ambassador for the Corporate and Government Outreach Tribe. So together with me, I have 8 beautiful, inspiring ladies under the IWD organizing team from 2 chapter countries, which is the PMI Malaysia chapter and PMI Singapore chapter. So from Malaysia, we have Jody, Sandy, Yuet Xiong, and Esther. And from Singapore, we have Clarice, Madeline, Carl, and Sokfan. So for your information, WiPM supports the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 5, which is the gender equality. WiPM aims to foster an environment for women and male allies where everyone feels valued, respected, and empowered to contribute their unique perspective and experiences. WiPM celebrate differences and nurture a sense of belonging for all individuals by promoting a supportive and inclusive culture. So let me go through the event etiquette. Yeah. So make sure you have a good internet connection to have better engagement. You don't want to lose focus. And please mute your mic to avoid distractions. You may also use the emoji reactions and buttons to participate. Yeah. Also, if you have any Q&A, please scan the QR code given for the slido.com. You may register the Q&A first, right? You can just put it in, but we will be reading the Q&A at the end of the session. So other than that, just stay present and have fun. Okay, so I believe we are 3 minutes ahead of time. We are project managers, so that's what we do. All right, so let me introduce our PMI Malaysia Chapter President, Dr. Joshua Neto, DBA. And he is also a director at Turner & Townsend Malaysia, a business with a more than 50% women workforce. Without further ado, please welcome Dr. Joshua Neto to deliver his opening remarks. Over to you, Joshua.
Thank you, Shah, and happy morning to all of you. And so nice for me to start my weekend in a session like this. And I hope you guys have a lovely time. First of all, let me thank the Singapore chapter for collaborating with us on this one, the Malaysia chapter. Indeed, we are joined at the hip in many, many ways, not just in geography, but also in history, culture, cuisine, people, language, and so on, right? So I look forward to many more collaborations with the Singapore chapter. So I'm Joshua, and feel free to connect with me. In fact, you can even ask me questions if you want. after this session too. If you can help me flick to the next slide, please. Thank you, Shah. So, and we all know that, throughout the month of March, especially, we've been having a lot of conversations about, women's participation and being more inclusive. Right? But if I sort of turn the narrative on its head, a gap in inclusivity is really us losing out on opportunity. Right? A recent study by ILO and McKinsey proves this. So if I put this in a perspective where many people can understand, in recent years, we have started to really appreciate, for instance, for those who look after businesses or work for an organization, engagement, right? Employee satisfaction. And if somebody told us that our employees are not as engaged, we lose out on productivity. So now we appreciate satisfaction, good remuneration, recognition, all the things that employees want, and with that we get productivity. It's the same thing at national level. It's the same thing at regional level, right? If women participate, they feel rewarded fairly, right? They feel recognized for what they do. They feel that opportunities are fair across the board. We are going to get higher productivity, right? And that is something that we are missing out on. So those are some of the numbers, again, from research, but it's just staggering when I was reading this article that, potentially we could have so much increase, countries sort of cast a magnifying glass or are very concerned when their GDP even moves by 0.3, 0.5%. But here it shows 4.7%, 4.5 trillion. That's huge, right? So I hope that gives us something to think about as we go through the discussion today. But on a lighter note, Shah, if you could help me flick to the next slide, please. I was taking my family out during the school holidays recently to a park. And by coincidence, I was walking down this bridge, which had beautiful lighting. So I thought, what a lovely time to take a photo. And just as the PMI next strategy that was just introduced, we need to empower ourselves, right? So I hope this is a platform for us to empower ourselves, to, of course, the women. I'm going to give the women a head start on this call by sharing a fun fact before I leave you to it. So International Men's Day is on November the 19th. And in fact, International Men's Day is the same day as World Toilet Day. I'm not gonna speculate why, but I hope that gives you some laughter and fun, not only today, but also in your coffee chats as you take away, all the stuff that you're going to discuss this morning, right? So let me pass back to you, Shah, and let the celebrations begin. Cheers, guys.
Thank you. That's very funny to know. Thank you, Joshua. What a trivia. Okay, so all right. So before we play some games in the ice-breaking activity, let's watch a recorded reel of individual sharings from PMI Singapore chapter.
Hi, my name is Jessica Sanchez, and I lead cross-functional and cross-regional project teams. I don't always get to choose who are my team members, but I do get to choose how I behave myself. As a female leader, I am joining the celebrations of International Women's Day, and I want to take this opportunity to reflect on the importance of being the change that we want to see in the world. Not through imposing our own views, but through our own personal development. I believe that when it comes to bringing our authentic self to the benefit of a project, we also need to be excellent listeners and be efficient and fair when it comes to project implementation. But most importantly, I believe that we need to celebrate the lessons learned and also the contributions of all the team members along the way. Recognize each other, because in today's world, it's very fast moving. And I believe that together, really together, we can accomplish great things. On this International Women's Day, I want to join the many inspiring and often quiet trailblazers shaping the future of project management. Thank you.
I inspire inclusion by fostering a sense of belonging and I promote diversity and ensure that everyone feels valued and respected for whom they are and are empowered to promote their best. I strongly believe that leaders and influencers must model inclusive behavior by active listening to diverse perspectives and always lead by example. Most important, we must educate and raise awareness on the unconscious bias, understand the importance of inclusion at workplace and how to practice it in your daily life. Also, create a safe place where individuals feel comfortable expressing themselves without fear or judgment and discrimination. Encourage open dialogue and constructive conversation about diversity and inclusion. Always foster collaboration and measure the progress towards inclusion goal. That's all from me, Anupa. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sofan. Nice to meet you here. So I'm lucky to say that I'm able to work with the diverse group of people in the past and my current job also. So go back to this question. How do you inspire the inclusion? So based on my experience, I will try to demonstrate this kind of the inclusion behavior in my daily interaction with others. So for example, I will try to be an active listener and also show the respectful feedback. And the last one is I will always be cautious on this cultural awareness. Of course, they have a lot of things other than these 3 points. So for more detail and information, you can watch out in our coming soon IWD event organized by PMI. Okay, see you there. Thanks. Bye.
Hi everyone, this is Priya. So inclusion for me means that you demonstrate respect on cultures, practices, and views that are not necessarily the same as yours. It's also making an effort, showing willingness to understand and curiosity on things and perspectives that are important to other people.
Inspiring inclusion to me means to be an individual that creates safe environment for everyone, making sure everyone feels respected and supported, no matter who they are. Educating our youth that everyone has a different superpower that the world needs and help steer the society towards inclusion. Join me to inspire inclusion, make a safe environment for everyone.
Good day, everyone. My name is Jayan. I'm PMP and Senior Project and Facilities Manager. In my line of work, all men and women work together to achieve organizational goals productively. As per today's awareness, women empowerment and inclusions are nothing new. I believe everyone of different genders, religion, and races with self-determined good purposes and values should proactively and systematically work together in goals achievement by ensuring good communication and inclusive environment, as well as promoting diversity. It is not just in the knowing, but by being and doing that we will further fortify overall inclusion and empowerment. Thank you and happy International Women's Day.
And that's the end of our first video. So now let's have some fun and activity with an icebreaking activity. So I have with me Miss Cargo from Singapore to briefly explain the rules and run the activity. So over to you, Carl. I'm gonna stop sharing my slides.
Thank you, Shah. So in the spirit of International Women's Day, for today's icebreaker session, we have guessed the greatest pop hits from our female musicians. The catch here is you only get hints through emoji. So if you're fluent with emoji, you should be fairly easy to translate them to the pop titles that we will be shooting off to you. So to join us, please scan the QR code on your screen. And while everybody is giving their try on their translating skill, emoji translating skill, every question is given a minute, and after which the result will be shown. So If everyone is ready, here we go. Okay. So we are admitting everybody. I hope everyone is able to scan the QR code. Ah, good. The
I'm not
model.
sure if I'm able to play or not.
Yes, of course you are.
Yeah, everyone should join the fun.
Yes, everybody should. So we are having 45 users. Number is increasing. Ready?
Nice. The numbers keep on increasing.
It seems like we have very confident emoji translators. I mean, in this era, I mean, every one of us use some form of emoji in our text messages and somewhat. So I'm pretty confident. We have very competent team here. This is going to be easy peasy for them. But it was really tough for me when I looked at the questions.
So you need to be fast.
Yeah, you need to be fast.
And you need to get the correct answer.
All right, I guess some can't join us, but you can do it offline, looking at because the questions will be reflected on the screen as well. Have some fun, join us even if you can't scan the QR code or anything. But yeah, just have some fun. And test your emoji translating competency.
And I guess they need to know the song as well. If they don't know the song, they can't even get.
I think pretty much it's quite a well played song on the radios and everything from what I. It's just that sometimes you know the song, but you just don't know the title. That's the problem for me. I know the song when I hear it, but I don't know exactly what's the title. that might cause a problem.
I have the same problem, Carl. Whenever I go for karaoke session, I will have that problem. I cannot select the right song for me. I can't remember the title.
Okay.
Do you have everyone?
Okay, shall we start the quiz? Right, the first one. We have a number, we have a phone, we have a hand, and we have a doubting face. 15 seconds more to go. For everyone to give it a try. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yay!
Did everybody get correct? So it's Call Me Maybe.
You know the tune of the song?
Oh, I can't. I'm tone deaf. Sorry, sir. Right, so we have the leaderboard, Jerome. Congrats, DM, Esther. Yeah. Okay, next one. We have a stop, a restricted sign, ring. I think those two are dancing ladies, right?
I need to beat Jerome.
Oh, it's getting competitive here.
Well, the last one sounds like not married but best friends.
Yeah, not married but best friends. Sounds logic. Okay, did we get it right? Single ladies. I guess 50% of us got it right.
Beyonce. Yeah, this one I know. Beyonce. Oh, cool. I got number 2.
Oh, not bad.
See, I told you I beat Jerome.
Okay, the third one. Thumbs down. Is that blood?
Don't worry, Jerome. I'm just playing with you.
Low blood. Low blood. It's low. Thumb's red. Thumb is bleeding. Okay, I think that's a different emoji though. 2, 1. So what's the answer? Bad blood.
I don't know bad blood is from who.
Hayati seems to be leading now. Okay, the next one. We still have blood again. I think this is quite a bloody question. Blood and heart. Blood donation is a good one. Heart donation. Life giver.
Oh, life giver.
After bleeding love, you need to give life. Yes. Bleeding love. I guess this is quite popular, this song. So everybody knows. Just that we have a champion. Okay. Next question. We have is this avatar or genie? It's a little bit small, so this is a genie, and then we have a downward arrow, and we have a milk bottle.
Magic milk
in the bottle.
Yeah.
Magic milk bottle. I think every mother wants it. The magic milk bottle. Just hand it to the baby.
Yes.
Genie in a bottle. Oh, well done, everybody. Right. So I guess is this our last questions that we have it? So seems like Josh. Oh no, we have some more.
All right. Yeah, it's okay because we're ahead of time.
Okay. Okay, so this one is arrow up. That one it must be a girl. Restricted sign. That's water. Big girls no water. Uptown girls no water. Uptown girls don't cry. Big girls don't cry.
Icebreaking. So let's continue with our next event. Hold on, let me reshare my slides. Okay. You're able to see my slides, right? All right. So the next event is where we are going to hear from Ms. SoHyun Kang, our keynote speaker for the day, entitled Leading to Inspire Inclusion. So let me introduce Ms. SoHyun for a while. So Ms. SoHyun Kang is the PMI Regional Managing Director for Asia Pacific. She is a true inspiration for collaborative and inclusive growth models. Leading a diverse team of people geographically located in different countries across the region is a testimony of inclusive growth, collaboration, and PMI value of Together We Can. SoHyun holds a Bachelor of Arts in Linguistics from Korea University and graduated executive program at the National University of Singapore. She has lived in many parts of the world, from South Korea to Europe to USA and now in Singapore. She adds value through her understanding of different culture and economic nuances, thereby embracing inclusive growth and building a culture that can be welcoming and aim higher. So let's welcome Ms. SoHyun Kang. You may take the floor. I'm going to stop sharing and you can share yours.
Thank you, Sha. So I want to share my screen. All right, can you see my screen? Is that okay?
Yep, cool.
All right, all good. So thank you, everyone. Happy International Women's Day, first of all, and what a fun icebreaker call. Thank you so much for your great fun activities. And officially, thank you so much for PMI Malaysia chapter and PMI Singapore chapter, in particular, Women in Project Management Committee members and all the members and supporters who joined the meeting today. So to introduce, my name is SoHyun Kang, Managing Director of PMI for Asia Pacific region. I'm very glad to be part of today's meeting. It's a fun and also it's about sharing and celebrating our success. So when I was asked by SoHyun, can you be the speaker for this event? Of course, I'd love to. And I did a little bit of a study. What's the theme about the Inspire Inclusion, the theme of International Women's Day this year? So I want to share with you what's the quote exactly what was written in the organizer's website. So it says, when we inspire others to understand and value women's inclusion, we forge a better world. And when women themselves are inspired to be included, there's a sense of belonging, relevance, and empowerment. Collectively, let's forge a more inclusive world for women. So this is the why we're here today. And this is the action the Women in Project Management Committee, the members of a PMI Malaysia chapter and Singapore chapter organized this great event to celebrate our achievement and create a sense of belongings together. So once again, thank you. So if you look at the theme, Inspire Inclusion, particularly it indicated the two pillars to inspire inclusion. So one is diversity, and second is empowerment. It sounds simple. We heard about these two words many times at work. But let's take a look what that means actually for us a bit more deeply. So diversity, it particularly articulate about to promote diversity in leadership. Somebody just muted me. I just can you hear me okay now? Okay. So let me repeat. Diversity about the having more diversity in leadership and decision-making position, including women. So I want to show you some interesting statistics that I found. So this is the annual report that McKinsey publish every year. It's a report called Women in the Workplace 2023. And this one is conducted in partnership with the Lean-In organization. This is the effort, the largest study of a woman in corporate America, Canada. So there's a little bit of a limitation and caveat when it comes about representation of the data for our region in Asia, and particularly in Malaysia and Singapore. But it's still good to know as a data standpoint and the indication. So if you look at this statistics, there are two factors that I want to highlight. Somebody wants to draw, if you may stop, I may continue my explanation. I know you're very interested to know about this statistics. So two important data point here is number one, if you look at the ratio of women, so whether a woman of a color or woman, white woman, if you combine the ratio of a woman from different level of corporations. So starting from entry level is 48%. If you go further to the C-suite, it's 28%. So it reduced. So that's what we're talking about, more diversity, probably not only for the women, but women, the man in color or different diversities as well. But statistically, as of 2023, there's a different ratio between 48 to 28. However, there's a good news. The second data that we want to take a look is the ratio changed and then progress that was made over the 5 years. So you can see the data that total women 2023 in the bottom, as well as the total women 20 18. So the difference it's the same 48% at the entry level, but progressively you see the positive change into the senior level. So if I compare from end to end, the one from 22, so C-suite of a woman, 22% in 2018, and then 28% in 2023. So this is the good news. We are making good progress, but we can do better. Now, I talked about, not I, there was another second pillar talking about the empowerment. This empowerment was particularly talking about education and awareness. So we can foster inclusion and empowering women through education and awareness. So this is a somewhat broad education in all different aspects at different stage of a career or different stage of in the life and the awareness of different topics. But I want to also share one interesting data point. Around the world, 129 million girls are out of school, according to the UNICEF report. And Singapore population is 5 million where I live, but okay, it's a small country. So, but even compared to Malaysia, 33 million, 4 times of the entire population of Malaysia, the girls in the world are out of school. And mostly in the country, they were affected by conflict, such as a war, a civil war. There are reasons. There are many different reasons beyond just a war or conflict, like poverty. Parents may not afford to send all of their children, then they may choose different gender to send to school, or child marriage, or gender bias violence. So there are many different reasons, but this is the reality of today. So these 2 topics I just mentioned about women in or decision making at the senior position, and the one about the many girls, the 129 million girls out of school. The 2 topics, in fact, seem to be a little bit in a distance. But yeah, one talking about senior position in corporations, which we would have assumed those women, and include many of us in this room, and including both men and women, have a good educations already. Therefore, you're in this meeting today, and then you have the jobs and the positions that you have now. The other hand, that we're talking about very fundamental human rights to learn for a better life. But they really far apart. Let's see. So this is it for all my data points today. Today I want to share my stories with you. It is personal stories, and I have 3 stories. 1, a story of a Korean girl, and 2, a story of Hurricane Katrina, and 3, a story of being female managing director. Right. So my first story. This is me. If you're familiar with Korean culture, if you ever watched the K-pop, very typical outfit. This is called hanbok. I was 4, and the one who is carrying me is my mother. I was born and grown up in Korea, South Korea, to make sure. And today, Korea is known for BTS, Squid Game, or K-drama, K-pop, maybe Samsung or LG, phone, TV, large corporations and IT technology. So it is a position into one of the world's largest economy, advanced country. But it used to be one of the poorest country in the world. And Korea experienced civil war between South and North in 1950s. And my mother, the youngest daughter of 9 siblings, who went through their whole poverty in the country. So she was born shortly after the Civil War, and most of people's generation at the time in South Korea, they really had very dramatic, different experience of poverty and then also growth of economic development that changed the whole complete societal change. There's the implications. So as I mentioned, she was the youngest daughter of 9 siblings, and she had a few brothers. And she had to give opportunities to her brothers for better education, to college and the others. So my mom didn't go to college. She finished the high school. But that made her thinking when she had me as a daughter. I'm the first daughter and I have one younger brother. She really, really wanted to protect me and then wanted to give me the opportunity to study. She did not, I didn't, by the way, my generation didn't really go through the hard poverty of the economic condition was really different when I was born. But her experience didn't really carry down to me because she intentionally wanted to make a change. She intentionally wanted to give me a better opportunity for me as a woman can do better or have equal opportunity. So she raised me with the full support for education. And if you're familiar with the culture in Korea, so there's a kind of a typical role woman and the man do. So, woman will raise a kid and go to kitchen and cooking and a lot of household work. She didn't let me step into kitchen. She asked me, you study, you need to go to good school and so on. A bit extremely hard. So until after 20 years old, I didn't know how to cook at all. Actually, that's a surviving skill I wanted to learn. But anyway, so she was on the other extreme. But that for support, gave me good education throughout and the opportunity that led me to go to good school. I went to study overseas. And I got a job. That's not a typical career path that my generation as a woman in Korea. Even today, there's a cultural difference at home. Some nuances if we have a big family gathering and superior than women. But my mom really raised me very differently, and as well as for my brother and too. So I really give a big appreciation and also credit how she had made a conscious effort to make change for the next generation for the better and the equal opportunity. This is one of my story, but I don't think I'm the only one unique, and there could be other girls, young SoHyun in other world, or maybe rather young my mom, so that educate for the future, and the one who are in this room who are more privileged to have a better education. I believe we can help others and other young girls or young professionals and help for the better education. So that was my first story. second one, I talked about Hurricane Katrina. So I'm really talking about my life story today. So after I graduate college in Korea and I went to study in Switzerland, and then my first job was in Georgia, Atlanta. So when I was in Switzerland, I studied hotel management. I dreamed about working at a very nice hotel. Actually, it was not about working for a hotel. I wanted to stay in nice hotel, but I didn't know back then. I was just young. Anyway, so my first job was management trainee at one of the Intercontinental Group's facility in Atlanta, Georgia. So this hotel was situated right next to the Atlanta airport. And if you're familiar with management trainee system, my job rotates every 2 to 3 months, different department. So you go through whole different functions and then become a manager. So that's the concept. From front desk, housekeeping, marketing, finance, catering, I did everything. I did even maintenance. You know, if you have some problem, I can fix your light bulb at home. I can do it. Context. And back then, it was about 20 years ago. I was the only young and Asian and woman at workplace. So I was very unique. I just mentioned I rotated all different departments. No matter which department I go, I was very unique. I was the only one in terms of group. And then second, I'm not a native English speaker. I was born and grown up in Korea, as I mentioned. So my English wasn't fluent enough to understand, especially Southern accents in the US. If you are familiar with it, it's not very easy to understand for the non-native English speaker. I was clueless. And then third, so I was, born and grown up in Korea, which is quite relatively homogeneous country. So compared to Singapore, Malaysia, very diverse, right? But Korea, just full of Korean in the country. So it was really shocking and surprising. Whenever I changed the department, I saw the different ethnicity. So for example, I wouldn't go through which ethnicity belong to which department, but I can tell you, if you go to front desk, one type of ethnicity. If you go to marketing team, one type of ethnicity. If you go to finance, one type of ethnicity. It was very distinguished. I was very shocked. And then no matter where I go, I was all by myself. And I ate lunch by myself. I didn't belong to. Now, after a few months, Hurricane Katrina happened in 2005. So that's the photo that you're looking at right now. So it was one of the biggest disaster. The fatality, they probably was close to 2,000 people, and then fatalities, and then about 125 billions damage. So it mainly hit in New Orleans, the southern part of the US, and the Louisiana, but the amount of the people who refugee were too huge. So some of them came to even up into the north to the Atlanta and to the hotel where I worked for. And that was emergency situation in the hotel. So we had this hotel, about 250 rooms, about 200 were all full of refugees, and they had to stay about a couple of months, we had a contract with the American Red Cross, so we helped them. It was another level of hospitality and work experience I had, because most of the guests, they never stayed in hotels. They didn't know how to use the facilities, how to behave, and all different protocols. And also because we were full house every single day, and every department were in an emergency mode. Like our staff, we couldn't sleep very well, was really 24 hours, 7 for a couple of months. And then, because my position was unique, I went through all different departments for the training. So they called me, SoHyun, can you help me for this, for marketing? Can you, well, actually not for marketing for the hurricane, but can you help me for housekeeping? Can you help me for front desk? Can you help me for finance? And so all the audit, all different, I could go and help them regardless of the whole the department, because I was trained to do so. And I helped. And then after a few months, 2 months later, I started noticing that they embraced me, and they appreciated what I did and what I worked, what I delivered and value to them. So no matter which department they were in, they start to embrace me for their social hangout and at workplace, and we start really working together. And at the end of my training course, I received the best employee of the month and recognized by my colleague, and some of them we're still friends. So that was a big change for me, and my colleagues accepted me for my hard work and competence and dedication versus my background or ethnicity. So that was really big change for me personally. So, you know, people's experience can be different. They were not exposed to young Asian women from the beginning, so that's why they were in distance. If we work hard, if we can try, then we're at the end of the day, we're human. So we have a hard reality at work. I share my story that's a little bit extreme. I recognize that, but we do face a reality of inequality, or reality of unconscious bias at work, or reality of glass ceiling every day. And the degree of a challenge is different depending on which organization you work for, or your boss, or your colleagues, or for yourself, or personality. However, what I believe is, if we think of the long term, and if we can stay resilient and not giving up, and then we will meet colleagues and the people who will open to you and to us. And if it's not today, it can be tomorrow. And if it's not the current boss you're working for within our current organization, but can be changed to future as well. More importantly, you and I can make the difference at work to create better environment for inclusion. And by sharing your stories and providing more opportunities who are considered minority at your work, not only based on the gender, but there's other areas of minority, we can make an effort to be more inclusive and mentoring them to invest themselves more for better performance. We can let our work speak. The quality of our work will speak for you and for us. That's my second message that I want to share with you. I have a third story before I move on. If you have any questions, you can put it on the chat on I don't know if you still use Slido. You can put it on the chat. So I will leave maybe 5 to 10 minutes before I finish my session. I want to have a conversation with you. So you can do it whenever you have a question. So my third story. A story of being female managing director. I'm a little bit shy to say, but anyway, story how I had applied for the job particularly and a mental health. I was appointed to this role last June, so I'm pretty new to this role. And however, I've been with the PMI for the past 10 years. So when the opportunity was available in January last year, I was one of the senior manager in the team, and I was asked if I'm willing to apply for the job, the managing director. And also at the same time, HR told me there's about 1,000 applicants, external candidate too. Whoa, I was very intimidated by that. I was hesitant and reluctant. So first thing I did was I went through the job description entirely, one by one. Literally, I went one by one. Which area I'm okay and confident, but which area I'm not qualified in my opinion, or maybe I don't know. I went through one by one and then kept thinking, shy, reluctant. That was where I was. Then that moment, Lenka, she is one of a prominent woman leader and current chief of staff to the POS, chief of staff to the CEO at PMI. Now, she approached me and asked me, SoHyun, what are you thinking? Why you're hesitating? And she shared data with me. She knows how to talk to me. I am always convinced by data. So she shared with me the data called the gender confidence gap. So SoHyun, do you know there was once a woman working group at Hewlett Packard, HP, and there saw the trends of lesser senior executive of a woman. So they did a study, and then they noticed when it comes about gender, the men apply for the next level of job when they think they can meet 60% of the job requirement. On the other hand, women will apply only when they think they can deliver 100%. So you see the difference is the confidence gap. And when they're taking an action, women tend to less apply or for the next level of position. So she asked me, she didn't say further. Lenka said, so and just think about it. This is the data, and just think about why you're reluctant. Maybe you're one of those. So I said, okay, challenge accepted, Lenka. I applied, and then here I am. So the story is not about how good I am, but how difficult for me to break through my own confidence gap I had, and how helpful for other women leaders encouragement really helped. It really meant a lot. So yeah, that was really helpful for me to apply. And the photo you're looking at is PMI Asia Pacific team. I'm very, very proud of my team, very diverse group. And yeah, and I'm very happy to be in my position right now. So the message I want to leave you with is be confident, very good. So you heard all my 3 stories. A story how I grew up by my amazing mother, who gave me an opportunity for education. And that led me to explore the world of diversity outside of South Korea. I'm very happy to land in Singapore, and I'm happy to visit Malaysia as well. And that led me to grow up and be at a senior position at an organization that I admire, Project Management Institute. So it's not about my story, but I also want to share how one of the women's story that which I'm sure many of your own stories will be all unique, but we will have a commonalities. Now, next, I want to also share a little bit about PMI Asia Pacific team. So same photo, not mistake. So PMI Asia Pacific, we have over 20 team members, 8 different countries. So we initially started from Singapore 10 years ago, but our team grew over the past 10 years. And so now we have a team members in 8 different countries. And as you can see, by face, we have a quite different diverse group of ethnicity. And we speak 11 languages fluently and 18 languages conversational. Now, it is not easy to form a high performing team with or diversity of gender, age, ethnicity, culture. We're very different. It really does, and especially we're in a high hybrid mode. Not everyone is at the same place. So it does require extra effort to bring the team together, and effort more in communication. Communication is really hard because oftentimes what I said, how is it perceived from the different culture, different. It is really big investment in time to understand each other and align each other and then act together. But the reality is diverse group can perform higher than those are not diverse group once it become one team. So it brings more different perspective, it brings more different creativities, and having also very fun. Very important part is everyone have the same mindset to be open to other culture and differences, and we are okay. We're good with our differences. That's a very important part. We're not going to be the same, and it's okay. So that's who we are in APAC team. I'm very proud of APAC team, and we're working very closely with Malaysia chapter and Singapore chapter, and one of our functions is chapter engagement team. We have other functions for corporate relations, ATPs, or marketing and data and so on. So we're growing, and that's what I do at PMI to grow our community of project professionals and aspiring project professionals in the region. This is one slide I want to share with you that what is the commitment from PMI as a global organization. So in late 2019, PMI Board of Directors recognized the need to reaffirm our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we created a dedicated website. We have several initiatives to particularly we have like DEI scholarship and DEI community engagement. So today, what you are part of this meeting is also one of the effort globally that made is being realized at the local level through PMI Singapore and Malaysia chapter. So today I learned the meeting was open to anyone. So it doesn't have to be PMI members or credential holders or chapter members, but you join to this meeting. Welcome to one of the vibrant community in PMI. And if you haven't yet, number one, I highly encourage you to join either or both of the chapter. And two, join the Women in Project Management community. And then three, check out the resources that PMI also provide. We have many other benefits, but I will highlight on the D&I page today to be online with the theme. Okay. This is going to be my last slide. And then I want to open the virtual floor. So my request, So my request is, I hope you can share your stories and celebrate your success together. So I'm looking forward to the next session, the listening more stories from the other panelists. I'm looking forward to you, Clarice, your moderation, and the other panelists' stories. So personally, it took a big courage for me to prepare my stories today because I'm more private person and introvert personality-wise, and I was simply uncomfortable. And Jody sent me a framework. So yeah, this is the structure that what you can say. Yes, it's important to talk about International Women's Day theme, significance, and the resources, but also add your personal stories. And I said, oh, Jody. But what I realized was when I became a managing director last year, I was approached by random people on LinkedIn. I was very surprised. So one from market researcher in California, one from young professionals in Sydney, and they wanted to talk to me, learn how I overcame bias and any certain challenges they share with me, specific ones. And they wanted to learn from my experience because they saw me as example of a senior leader of woman. Then I realized, sharing my story can inspire others, and I can become a role model to other young women professionals if I do well. And it's not about my story, but it's about our story. Then I took courage to share my story with you today, and here I am. So I hope you can share your stories and celebrate your success with your daughter, friends, colleagues, doesn't matter, male or female, and hopefully we can continue celebrate the success together and sharing our stories for better work. So thank you very much. And that is it for me today. And I don't know who, maybe Shah, you will moderate
Yes, I'm
for
here.
any questions?
Yeah. Okay, let me reshare my screen. Yeah, hold on. Yeah. Okay, we do have some questions for you, SoHyun.
Yes.
But first of all, inspiring stories. What I can comment is that our moms are similar. Yeah, so I didn't know how to cook until I have to survive alone in the States. So I had to study in the States for 2 years. So yeah, I believe our background, we're a bit similar. So that's why I guess, it's easier for us to connect. All right, so I do have a question for you, but since we have about 7 minutes and I have 4 questions with me now, so perhaps I'll just read on to you then. So the first question is, what skill would you recommend every female to develop to gain confidence in their positions in the society?
Very good question. I would go first of all, very, very important of the technical skills that you need to master no matter what job you have. So, but project managers will have our technical skills as business documents. Those technical skill is fundamental. And I previously talked about quality of a work. So we must deliver high quality of work. Then those technical skills are very important as basic line. So you don't want to be seen as, woman, soft side. No, that's number one. And second, interpersonal skill. Also, I'm biased by experience that women tends to have better interpersonal skills like soft skills or communications or bringing people together, inclusion. But then on the other side, then we should also be careful and also be mindful who may not be. So being more understandable, oh, why you're not, then it's okay, we can help. So for example, my compared to other women leaders, my interpersonal skill, like my EQ level is a bit low. So I'm always talking with the data and I'm very hard. The hard skills is very important. So I'm on the other side of compared to other women, but I would say, so those are two tips. Number one, master your technical skills, whichever job line you're in, fundamental. And then second, let's be considerate on the interpersonal skill for the others who may not be on par of you because you're good.
Okay, cool. Nice. We need to have IQ and EQ. Okay, next question. How do you overcome constant rejection from others who tend to put you down?
There's no silver bullet. So it really brings my memory to when I was in Atlanta. Simply, I needed moral support with my friends who were outside of that group. That's either friends or family or the friend that you would have maybe outside of that group who are giving you the challenge. That's one. Number two, I would say, look at in a big picture. And could be quite debatable situation, but if the organization is not right fit for you, or if the environment is not right fit for you, make a choice. We go for other places. So to me, it was Korea. I love my country. I love my family and background, but if you look at as still working environment, senior level, the males are pretty much still dominant even today in larger corporations. And some may be okay with it, but for me, I have a big appetite and desire to work in diverse group. And also, I'm not talking about only male and female, but I really enjoy working in diverse group. So I chose to come to Singapore, or actually I chose to leave Korea and then moved around the different countries. So it is about choice. So if there's a constant rejection, think about it. Why is it first? Is it because of my quality of work? That's hygiene factor. You need to think about it. Then you need to work hard, deliver good quality of a work. Second, you did, but if it didn't work, and if you really think it's not the right environment, make a choice.
Okay, nice. I like that one because it reminds me of the quote from Zig Ziglar. It says you need to make a choice. to take a chance to impart change. Very important.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. What are the baby steps can we take to be inclusive as we go about our day-to-day activities?
Baby steps. If I was a really baby fundamental, then first thing I would check, depends on your position. Many of our audience today are at the managerial position that I would say I hardly saw a very young entry level. So I believe you either have your own team or you're part of a team, but in the middle in your career. So check, how's your team like first? Is your team diverse enough? I'm not talking about only the gender, but different. Is your team diverse enough, being more creative, have a more different perspective? And if it's not that way, so I went to visit one of a defense company in Australia last year. Oh, okay, 2 minutes to go. That company had a very good vision to be more inclusive. Okay, we have set the target ratio for the female and the ratio for this different age group and so on. But they had a really big fundamental challenge that was they couldn't recruit engineers of a female engineer from the school to the company. So all the engineering companies in Australia, that particular city, were competing to hire woman engineer because they're just not there. So there could be many different reasons. If your team is not diverse enough, then think about it. Why is it? And then also open up that issue, or maybe open that up and share that how we can improve it better with your colleague or with your team. So don't put it within yourself if you identify those things that can be improved, but share it and work collectively together.
Okay.
Yep.
So, right. So we are on time. We are 11:20 now.
Okay.
Thank you so much, SoHyun, for your inspiring stories and your sharing. We hopefully we'll meet again one day.
Yes, and please, anyone who wants to connect with me, I can be connected on LinkedIn, and I will stay till the end of the session. I want to learn from I want to hear from others' story. So thank you everyone for listening my story first.
Thank you, SoHyun. All right, coming back. So now we come to the highlight of our event today, the moderated session of Fireside Chat. So let me first introduce our panel speakers and the moderator. So our first panel speaker is Puan Norlida Azmi, the Group Chief People Officer of Axiata Group Berhad. Norlida has led significant transformations throughout her career. Notably, she drove human capital changes at UEM Group, enhanced talent management at HSBC Malaysia, and fostered cultural shifts at Pemodalan Nasional Berhad. With a diverse banking background, including roles at Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank and Standard Chartered, she's also active in advocacy groups like the 30% Club and Lean In. Appointed as adjunct professor at UNITA Malaysia in 2022, Norlida continues to champion diversity, well-being, and digital agility in her endeavors. So that's our first speaker. Welcome, Puan Norlida. Our second speaker is Ms. Priya Patra, the director of Capgemini and the founder of Women PowerUP Network, a virtual community of around 878 women across the globe, created since January 2020. Priya is mother of two, author, blogger, woman empower believer, dreamer, creator, and a futurist, an agile evangelist, and a delivery director spearheading the quality engineering India team for energy, utilities, and chemical sector. She leads agile community of practice within the organization of 800 members, across 40 countries, evangelizing agile practices across all levels in the organization. She is a speaker for the national and international conferences on digital, agile, and project management. Welcome, Ms. Priya. And our third speaker is Mr. Suria, the president of PMI Singapore chapter, having a total of 37 years of working experience with 23 years in project management, 14 years in operation, and 8 years in Singapore Expo. Suria has vast experiences in managing mega projects in various industries such as oil and gas, pharma, chemical, and etc. in all the world areas. He is also active in promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion in corporate and social environment. Apart from his professional career, Suria has been volunteering with PMI for more than 20 years, with 8 years with Singapore chapter. He also spends more than 10 years in Toastmasters and is passionate in training, coaching, and public speaking. Welcome, Mrs. Suria. Welcome to all the panel speakers.
Thank you.
And to moderate this session, we have none other than Ms. Clarice Tan. Clarice is the Exco Officer and the WiPM Chair for the PMI Singapore chapter. Clarice believes that people are the catalyst of successful transformation. Well known for her transformation and change management expertise, she has over 20 years of corporate experience, over 10 of it managing strategic transformation programs in Asia Pacific. Clarice's professional expertise builds upon her external audit and consulting experience with PwC Singapore, which spans over a decade. She is a chartered accountant, CA, ANZ, and ISCA, with a Master of Commerce in Accountancy from Queensland of Technology, Australia. With that, we have 1 hour and I'm handing over the session to Clarice. Over to you, Clarice.
Hi, welcome everyone. Wonderful session this morning, inspiring speech by SoHyun. So today's panel session, we are looking at an empowering journey towards inclusion and diversity, with special focus, obviously, with this International Women's Day, International Women's Month, in terms of celebrating and empowering women. And so we would like to hear from our panel on their voices, how they have been heard. Every perspective is valued and every woman empowered to thrive. So together, let's hear our speakers share their stories about how in their workplace they have led our women voices to be heard, but also celebrated. So welcome Suria, Priya, and Norlida. Thank you for joining us. To start off today's panel session, perhaps you can share with us a personal experience that highlights the importance of inclusion in your career and within the project management space. Norlida, would you like to start off?
Good morning, Clarice, and thank you to the PMI organization for inviting me, including me here. I see a lot of people across the causeway in Singapore, you know, a nation and location that we all admire from this side, right? I think for me, perhaps not being directly in the project management team, but having been in industries that have seen a lot of project management set up. And I think when Jody asked me to join, she was certainly somebody that you say, okay, how can I help you endeavor this? For me, the personal story was, and I'm going to relate it when I was in UEM. How important it is was that a lot of the engineers, a lot of the PMIs were generally males, right? And the women had come and asked, how do we be included? And I think along the way, what happened was that my personal story in that space was actually talking to the leaders, not just the CEO, because it, you know, you can have at the strategic level a statement of inclusion, but it's the daily projects that people are assigned. And you, what me perhaps in the human capital space can come in is sometimes they don't like to be told, right? When you tell them, immediately people balk. But perhaps to suggest that, you know, if these women are equally qualified, would you consider his or her perspective that will bring a dimension to project management? So I think that was my personal story, because a lot of the project managers there tended to be males, but also what I was involved in was to bring accreditation. Come on, people, let's take that accreditation, and like the previous speaker spoke about, is build your technical competence. And I thought that was a key role to, at least when we talk about equity, let's make the women equally capable, and then we fight for that inclusion. That is my story. Thank you, Clarice. Delighted to be here.
Thank you, Norlida. Priya, how about yourself? I mean, it's so good to have technical skills, right? Is there something in your personal experience that also highlighted that inclusion in your career?
That's a very excellent question. And first of all, thank you for inviting me for this panel discussion. Just to give you a perspective, 50% of my team is females. So I'm a bit lucky. And my manager is also a lady. Okay. So I will say I was a little lucky in my career. I didn't have to navigate too much obstacles. But I will give you an example of a very, very huge project that I led. Okay. And I feel it is the diversity that has made it so much, innovative. And that is a chapter exchange project. Okay. And I've been leading that since 2020. And 2020, as you know, the entire world went into lockdown and we had nothing to do. And I thought, why not take advantage of this virtual world and travel across the countries without visas, without passports. And I kept connecting with different chapters in PMI. And chapter exchange was born. And you know what? And I made it a point that we have to be inclusive. I could have connected to 11 chapters in Region 11 and got 11 chapters all together in one shot. But we didn't do that. We went to Africa, bought in South Africa chapter. We went to Europe, got in Czech Republic chapter. We went to US, got in Phoenix chapter. And that's the inclusivity that we are talking about. And here, and I realized, wow, what innovative ideas are coming. Every chapter is unique, and most of them, here also, most of the leaders are women. Africa chapters, every president was a woman there when I was leading it, okay? And people kept telling me that, why don't we see women panelists? I said, come on, the entire program has been led by women. Why do you want women panelists here? We have people who are, adding so much value to the program. So this is a panel discussion, right? It is not about only the views of the panelists. How is it executed? And that's the biggest, example of inclusion I can give you, with diversity in terms of gender, in terms of generation, in terms of cultural diversity, all three dimensions together here. Okay. And how does it help me in my workplace? I take all these ideas together and, apply to my teams in the workplace, and I can experiment in my volunteering projects, because there is no harm. If I fail also, it is okay. Of course, I don't want to fail, but then, yeah, I can take those ideas here. I can try out new things here, and I encourage everyone, start volunteering, because that's the best way you can find out new ways of bringing in inclusion, bringing in new innovative ideas. Over to you.
Thank you. Wow, that's amazing. The chapter bringing in from everywhere, every part of the world, and including so many people. So to start off with that, we have our ally, Suria, to share with us the importance of inclusion in your career, Suria.
Yeah, sure, Clarice. First of all, again, thank you for having me here. I feel honored to be part of this team. I will share based on my working experience. In the corporate world, we have different various teams, especially in the projects. If you look at the composition of the project teams, management team or engineering team, procurement team, and the various stakeholders, external or internal. So it is very, very important if you to have the inclusivity as part of our project culture. So it will happen only when we communicate with the various stakeholders. because the more you communicate, the more you involve them, they feel engaged, they feel heard, they feel respected. Once we give that kind of respect and inclusion, then naturally the project successes will be taken care. If you look at it from my experience, what I normally do is, as a leader or a project, both in project as well as in organization, whenever I conduct meetings, I make sure that the people who are all in the participate in the meeting, they are here, and I devise the networking or team building exercises in which the team can come together, share their background and share their values and experience, and by way of creating the networking opportunities or in projects, we may have various workshops where stakeholders can come together and share their ideas. By creating this kind of opportunities, it makes the team feel involved, feel engaged, and they become more innovative, share their ideas freely, and then they become part of the team. When you have that kind of involvement from the team, naturally the project success improves, and then we have a happy team. So in my experience, to sum it up, talk to the team, whether it is formal or informal or day-to-day communication. The more you talk to them, understand them, they feel committed, and the productivity improves.
Yeah. So the specific initiative that you do in your projects is a lot of communication, teamwork. Yes. Was it difficult to navigate and sort of, get people of different groups, different nationalities in those workspace that you work in to be, open and have that sort of open dialogue with other people in there, especially women, or women of color, maybe. Was it anything specific in your experience that was difficult to navigate?
So you're asking me, Clarice?
Yes, right.
Okay. So as you rightly pointed out, when we have a team with a diverse background, because of their background, because of their culture, many team members will be shy, especially when we have women professionals in our team. We may not be expecting them to be forthright in their views, and they may have the shyness to come forward, because as Norlida pointed out, we have especially in my organization, in my projects, where more male professionals are involved than the female, then naturally their voice may look subdued. So it is very, very important, as I said, whenever we have meetings, whenever we have any gatherings or one-on-one communication, encourage them, and then look at what are their needs. Like sometimes they may need the training, or sometimes they may need a pep talk to motivate them. So once we have that kind of engagement, then it will always improve. I can share one of my example. I was working in Thailand, and in this, it was its site. We had engineers from China. And one day I got a strong email from the Chinese team saying that our food is very spicy. Why you can't take care of this? I was very surprised. I didn't look at it because I'm more focused on the work, but it was a surprise to me. Then immediately I talked to my Thai team. They said, no, this is quite common work. This should be taken. So then I realized it's a kind of understanding that is required between the various cultures. So it means that we need to have a networking, or at least to start when we start the project, have a workshop in which people can share their feel and then can come together. And by that way, each people can understand each other, can be empathetic about each other. Then that creates unition and then success. So that's what my experience.
Yeah, sounds like, being aware is very important, right?
Yes.
And having empathy for different cultures, because the spicy food is not so good for some people. Norlida, how about yourself? Is there a specific initiative or practice that you do in your work that fosters diversity and inclusion?
I mean, everything has to be done with intention these days, and you hear that word "done," and it can never I feel that it's too nascent for it to happen just naturally. So yeah, one of the projects that I was very proud about was in an organization I was, as we look for talents, and I had a male ally just like Suria. My gentleman CEO said, unless you have a minimum of 30% representation on your slate, I will not approve. And especially these are senior hirings. I mean, he doesn't get involved at all levels, right? And there was a role I just was telling him, there are no women who are interested at the middle level to come up to the CXO role, because I think leaders also set the tone, right? And he said to me, I don't care. You lift every rock, every stone. You go and find this for me. I hit a minimum of 30. And I guess because sometimes women on women, we are tougher because we want to make sure that when we put women on the slate for a senior hire, right, that they are capable, that they stand an equal opportunity to be selected based on merits, right? So Clarice is like, I think that what I was proud about is that the slate must be representative, whether it be for a hire or a project management composition. And
Yes.
Secondly, the interviewing panel must also be diverse.
Yeah.
And like what I think Priya was saying, there is an intersectionality of gender, race, religion, as well as generation. So on our panel, what I always like to do is, can we try as much as possible be representative? Because no matter what you say, we are shaped by our social upbringing, social biases, positive or negative. The truth is, for our brains to work, they're natural biases. And I always say, be biased, but be positively biased. And as I was quite proud about the resourcing for any projects or roles be done at the onset.
Yes, being very conscious about, the composition of the team and getting people, sort of, do we have a 30, 50%? We're not also lucky to have a 50%, ratio, and getting people to step up, as you rightly pointed out. And some of us face that challenge to be inclusive in that career. I think the first step, as you mentioned, getting, that diversity in that composition of the interview panel, for example, because, unconscious bias happen all the time. And Priya, you mentioned about this 50%. How do you get there? How did you get up to that 50? Because, it's so hard to even get to the 30 for Norlida. And being 50 is actually where we all want to be, the 50-50, sort of ratio, and be very well represented. How did you overcome that and sort of challenge that and positively impact the project management community? Because not all of the communities are equally represented.
Correct. So the first thing that I would say is the culture. How do you build that culture? It's not easy. Doesn't happen in one day, but it starts with you. Do I have a bias? Norlida said, right? That do I have a unconscious bias? I have. Everyone has. And I'll give you a small example, right? How, how unknowingly we take some decisions. And because she talked about the interview panel, and I just recalled, I went for a campus interview, okay? And it was in my hometown, and there were students who were coming, and there was this one student who was coming from my college, okay? She looked like, like my younger self, and there was a constant connection. I didn't know about it, but when the interview started, she was hesitant. She could not answer the question, but I stepped back and say, come on, relax, Neil. This is not a big deal, right? Take a deep breath and answer the question. And that unknowingly could be a lift to the interview, right? And she did perform very well. But when the next candidate came, I did not behave that way. So see how my unconscious bias was working towards it, and I am not able to, kind of being just there, right? Not that I did it purposely, but it happens. So what do we do, right? And I'm a big fan of Agile. And what I do is that, there are Scrum values, okay? And I just asked Jody to post it on the chat window, the Scrum values, And the Scrum values, as you know, they are courage, focus, commitment, respect, and openness, right? Whenever you take a decision, think about it. Am I having the courage to stand up for the betterment of my project? Am I focused towards the goals of my project? I'm taking a decision. I'm not choosing Sanjay over Snehal. Am I focusing on the skills of the person, or is it something else which is going on behind my head? Am I committed towards the goals of my project, right? Am I respecting the differences? Am I open to new ideas? Just keep this in mind. And trust me, it works in most of the time. And I kind of presented this in multiple conferences, and I shared experiences how, living by these values, I've been able to overcome so many unconscious bias. And I think that could be that may have been one of the steps to build a gender equal team of 50%. So I think this is my 2 cents, live by the values. I'm sure, day by day, you will improve. It will not happen in one day. The culture of the team will improve, and definitely we will get there.
Sounds like the questions are always on your mind every time when you are, sort of doing something, have to think about, am I unconsciously, making a decision about someone? Because a lot of us do things because we like another person, because they're so similar to us, right? And it's very easy as maybe women, if someone's from the same school as you mentioned, oh, I've got something in common with her. Maybe I'll include her instead of the other person, because we are all unconsciously biased. That's very interesting. And what advice do you have for project managers in this space, sort of to build that professional network that you have done so well in Asia?
It's a question for me?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I love networking. So definitely always reach out to someone new, someone who is different than you. Okay. So because if I'm reaching out to someone who is like me, we all have the same train of thoughts. We will all be thinking in the same direction. But if I reach out to Norlida, if I reach out to Suria, if I reach out to Clarice, I will get a different idea. Then I can think about differently, and I can become more and more innovative. Norlida's network becomes my network because I've connected with her on LinkedIn. Suria's network becomes my network, and Clarice's network also becomes my network. I have created a ripple effect, and my network has improved by 3 times. That's how you do it.
Fantastic. And how about Suria? How about yourself? What have you been doing?
Yeah.
In terms of building that inclusive professional network besides LinkedIn?
I address this question as a project leader as well as the organization leader. The first and foremost thing is to make clear awareness to the team, our goals and what we want to achieve, and have a KPI and the dashboard to monitor the progress. That is in the higher level. Then the next level is to make themselves aware and then contribute and get involved, right? So for that, to have one-on-one communication and then have network meetings or workshops to understand and then contribute. And every meeting, make sure that all are involved and then they are contributing with their ideas. And in addition, make sure that while talking to them, give a pep talk and then try to understand, being empathetic. That one of the things is communication. While communicating, we need to be empathetic as a project manager to the team, and then hear from them what need they have, what problems they have that they can do. And then another thing, what I do is have a 360-degree survey, because sometimes when you talk to them, they may not be forthcoming. So there's a 360-degree survey where they can give anonymous feedback about you. So when I have a large team of 100 and plus people, it is better to have a survey, 360-degree survey, to understand what improvement I need to do in order to make my team successful. And last but not the least, have a clear roles and responsibilities so that people know what they have to do, and also clear communication, because we have various stakeholders. Having communication, clear communication among the team is very important so that they know what they are supposed to do. And when they are communicated, they also feel engaged and they also feel satisfied. So when I look at it as a leader, when I take these actions, I also look at what feedback I can receive by way of talking to them, by way of having survey and observing them, whether they are happy or when they work, how they are interact with each other. And then is there any problems that happen which I need to solve immediately? Because conflict resolution is another important area where the inclusivity can be improved. So these are the various actions I do as a project leader or as an organization leader to make sure that I have my team involved, engaged, committed, motivated, and work towards one common goal.
Wow, that's good. And Norlida, I mean, you are a chief, people officer. You deal with a lot of people every day. Does that 360 feedback that Suria talked about, help, get the leaders to think about a little bit more about inclusion? Has that worked successfully in the organizations or the people you worked with?
Clarice, is a very good question. I find that 360 has been very effective in more mature organizations, because for leaders to be able to take the 360, first there is another journey that they have to go through. What is their mindset in the first place, right? So I think in the organizations that I've seen where it worked was when first the leadership journey has been that what is your personality disposition? That's personal. But how do you bring your personality disposition in a professional environment? Because you may be somebody who's very conservative, anti-whatever, but you realize that the modern world needs you to be inclusive. So they're able to elevate themselves. So I think once you have come to that journey, 360s can be very powerful, where you use it for developmental requirements, for me as a HR person, than to be a punitive thing. Sometimes not everybody is going to love you. So you're not going to get a perfect 5. I think when there's a perfect 5, you should be asking, are people brave enough to rate me honestly? I mean, I'm just talking about a rail from 1 to 5, right? But I think it's very powerful when they say, okay, this is my developmental needs. And between whoever is running it and the manager, you have a conversation. And I have found the more progressive organizations I've worked with, they ask me, oh, Ollie, I'm known as Ollie, by the way, in my current place is Ollie, how do I do to improve myself? What can I do to make that impact? And yet I will have on the other end, it says, these people hate me, they'll never love me. That's why I'm rated 3.5 on this open-mindedness and things like that. So Clarice, it's the state of the organization, the journey that leadership has gone through, and also on the capability of the person who's having this conversation, right? So I always try and face in my HR team, people who don't like me, I'll ask my HR VP to talk, whatever it takes to bring out the best in the leaders that we have in the organization. So it's never about me, but it's about who in my team can work with the leaders to bring out. And I think inclusion today, and we've talked about the various dimensions, you have to attack all inclusions at the same time. Otherwise, they will feel that we are still being narrow-minded, left behind. So I think 360 is powerful if used correctly and in the right instance of the journey, the leadership journey.
Yeah, so the level of the organization, the leadership, so the tone from the top is very important, especially as leaders. We must understand ourselves first before we can inspire others in our team to get along that journey. But what if the leaders are not there yet? What advice do you have? What can we do as project managers? A lot of us in the call are project managers. What can we do to sort of influence them, to get them thinking about being more inclusive? Norlida?
So Clarice, I think Priya referenced that you must have enough role models that can influence. Let's be pragmatic. Otherwise, it's going to be a much longer journey. It's not, for those in the project management field particularly, it's not enough for the HR leader to be driving this. I need to find my amplifiers in the system itself. So therefore, I believe today, leaders are not just by the org chart. I need to find out who influences people. Those are my change makers, not the titles they carry, but the influence and the impact they have made. And that takes a little bit more work because it's easy to say, okay, CEO -1, CEO -2, I've covered. It's not enough. Find your change makers. I do think even in the project management world, and if you are one of those that are maybe not at that leadership position, but maybe you are because you're influencing your peers. And when you influence your peers, they will have that collective courage that Suria and both Priya was talking about. There is something about having a few other people who can talk about a cause. Otherwise, in an organization, they think it's a personality disorder. This woman is so typically, the word B, right? I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Can we listen to what it is first? So I say build role models, not just by hierarchy, but also in the influence maker. And if you feel you're not senior enough, identify, get a coach, get a sponsorship by one of the role models so that you are able to make an impact. Volunteer, be a voice in this change.
Yes, very, very, very good advice. So it just reminds me about, when you talk about influence, the stakeholder map that we have, and, the influence and impact and the interest in promoting that diversity. Influencing is very important in terms of integrating inclusivity, getting the right people who can influence the majority of people in the organization. So Suria, is there any specific project management practice or methodologies you have used, because you are a project manager yourself, that particularly is effective in promoting inclusivity besides team collaboration and communication? Is there a certain methodology that you use that perhaps us as project team members could employ in our daily work?
Yeah, it's a great question, especially for the project manager or project leaders. First, when I start the project, I have the charter and I have the project goals and objectives. That itself, we need to create a value that DEI is one of the core value of the project team. And once you make that statement as a leader, you follow up, then that drives the necessity into the team. That's the first and foremost. Then when we go ahead with the planning, we have our planning methodology like WBS activities. So you devise ways of delegating the works as well as the initiatives to across the board, looking at their capability, not with reference to their demographics. So when you do that kind of thing, the people get motivated. That is in the planning process itself. Then another aspect of planning process is, before Clarice talked about it, the stakeholder management. Right, in a project we have various stakeholders, and devise your methods. Like previously I talked about the networking or various events, or how to luncheon meetings or anything. Put it in a stakeholder management, how each various stakeholders we need to influence, inspire them so that they can be part of the project success. So another important factor I would like also the roles and responsibilities. When you make a roles and responsibilities clear, people know what they are supposed to do, and then they feel involved. Then another aspect, in addition to the roles and responsibilities, is the communication channel. So once we have the clear communication channel and responsibilities, everyone knows what they are up to. So in essence, a project manager can use the various project management methodologies and use his creativity and so that he can incorporate looking at the dynamics of his team, and looking at the level of experience of his team, and looking at how involved or how connected they are. He has to devise the methods to create communication, create networking opportunities, giving them the responsibilities, and then supporting them without taking out the responsibility. So if you once they have the responsibility and they get your support, then they feel involved. So these are the various things a project manager or a project leader can do in order to bring up the good success in the project. As we previously talked about the 360 degree, I want to share one experience. I was going for a 360 degree. Then I was thinking that I am not micromanaging my team, and I'm giving equal opportunity to the team. Everything I was thinking good about me. But when I received the feedback, it was shocking to me. There was a difference of the survey says what you think you are and what your team thinks you are. So there is a big gap, It was, as Norlida mentioned, initially it was difficult to for me to accept it. I was in a denial mode. Then slowly I got to know, I analyzed myself. I realized that, yes, there is a very good way of improving myself. Then I went through the training of unconscious bias and whatever organized by the company. So by that way, a project manager has to look at what he can do for the team with reference to the project management methodologies. At the same time, what he can do for himself in order to bring up himself to address to the needs of the team. So that is my 2 cents.
Wow, that's amazing. And you mentioned about charters having that inclusivity, that KPI. Do you measure the success of inclusion in your projects as part of the project charter? Listing out what are the KPIs, as we know, KPIs are very important in projects. Is that part of the KPI for you in your projects as well, Suria?
Yeah, actually, it is not a direct KPI for the inclusion. So at the organization level, what they do is we look at the demographics, whether we have employees representing the demographics. Then we look at the pay per equity, and then how employee opinion survey. These are the things give feedback for the organization. The organization come out with training and make the people to go through the training, whether you are an efficient leader or not. That is at the organization level. In the project level, the KPIs normally, if I look at it, the satisfaction of the members. I interact with them. Are they happy? Are they complaining about each other? Or each person is coming to me and complaining about other person? So these are the qualitative indications, KPI, which I would call. Then actual KPIs, we have a dashboard, right? The project success, whether the project is meeting the target, profitability, and on-time delivery and all, right? So if there is a problem in meeting those, our employee or the team satisfaction or team involvement or team inclusion might be a factor. So then we need to look at into the team dynamics from that aspect, and then try to talk to them, explore more, and 360-degree surveys, and then based on that, you take actions to bring them back to normalcy.
Oh, thank you, Suria. And how about you, Priya? Do you look at any indicators, KPIs in terms of measuring success in your network?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because if you cannot measure, you cannot improve. But before I go there, I just remembered a very funny incident on 360-degree feedback. Okay, so it was not a 360-degree feedback as such. It was a skip level meeting. So my team members connect with my managers and they give feedback, or they discuss, how I am performing. And there was a feedback that I disconnect the phone abruptly. Okay, I didn't even realize. So I call them, hello, how are you, this, that. And then I say, okay, this, you have to do XX. And then I disconnect the phone. So that's what they said, that sometimes we are very startled. Why does she disconnect the phone abruptly? I was thinking, why should I waste their time? I have communicated what needs to be done. And I asked them, do you have any question? They said no, and I disconnect the phone. Oh my God. And, people were laughing when my manager was giving me that feedback. He was laughing on the floor. Why do you disconnect the phone? I said, oh, I didn't even realize. Okay, next time I will say, have a good day, and then I will disconnect. Okay, so that's a different story. But yes, on KPIs, right? As you know, every organization, every project has a KPI of diversity index. So we have to maintain certain diversity. That is definitely a KPI. But the most important KPI, which I feel, is the team happiness. Now, how do you measure that? If you ask them, are you happy, team? They will always say, I'm happy because I'm the manager. So in our organization, we have, application which pops up suddenly, and it asks you, what is your mood today? Are you sad? Are you happy? Are you neutral? Okay, and it will not allow you to do anything else unless you select an option, which is sometimes very annoying. But yes, because of that, sometimes people say that they are not happy. But then most of the time, they will give you the indicator of their moods. And if someone is not happy for, say, a couple of months, then HR connects with them. They coach them. What is the reason that you're not happy? Is it because you're working long hours? Is it because something, the customer environment is not good, or whatever? Your manager is not listening to you, something like that, right? Or you need some special needs. That's how we measure, whether we are inclusive enough. The second thing is that, of course, customer satisfaction. We are a consulting company, so we execute projects for large organizations. And are we solving the business problem? That is one, right? We can always meet the scope, schedule, and cost. Nowadays, we know how to meet it because we are experienced project managers. But are we really solving the right problem? That comes from customer satisfaction. And sometimes we've seen we have met all the parameters, but customer is not satisfied. Okay, something has gone wrong. So that is one. Second is that what is the business value that we have provided to our end customer? Have they been able to, go into newer markets? Have they been able to launch newer products? Are they coming back again and again to us for services? Those are the three things that we monitor to ensure that, yes, we are having a diverse team. We are having an innovative team, and obviously innovation comes from diverse team. Sometimes we have not met the customer's problem because we didn't have a diverse requirement gathering. We did not include all the stakeholders in requirement gathering. So yeah, these are the few things that I am doing this, right? There's a question, Priya, am I allowed to ask which consulting firm you belong to? So later on, I got distracted.
No,
I'm sorry.
We'll take that offline. Thanks, Priya.
I got distracted. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, so I think for me, personal KPIs are also very important, right? In terms of not just the organization, the projects that you and Suria talked about. I'm interested in Norlida's KPI as a leader. I mean, wow, you're a group chief officer, you're an adjunct professor, you are a woman, you're up there. I think for a lot of women, getting there is an achievement. Do you actually set a KPI for yourself in terms of measuring inclusion? What are the things that you do to, get up there? I mean, a lot of us have this glass ceiling that we can't seem to, get ourselves through. And inclusion and behaviors are a very important part of that, which we talked about. And I'm really inspired by Norlida's, achievements. Would you share with us, please, on how to be like you?
Thank you so much, Clarice. It's always good on a Saturday morning to have a feel-good session. It's like perhaps for all these things that I've done, I'm sure you all know that I'm a boomer. And during those early years, there was no conversations on DEI as explicitly as today. However, along the journey, I realized it doesn't mean that just because you're with a multinational that you don't face backlashes because you're a woman. And I only became conscious a little bit later, but then I realized first when I was in a great multinational bank, and there was a competition about which country will bring in the most new. I was in the front line before I was in HR. So there was a competition that said which country will bring in the most new new customers, new net revenue, and blah, 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 all those measures, right? And then for some reason in that conversation, I felt excluded. And yet at that time, Malaysia was one of the highest countries getting FDI. And I'm like saying, they've dismissed me either for the country I represent or for my gender. And I took it as a personal challenge, Clarice, because I knew the facts were with me. But I think I set a KPI for myself that I want to be technically competent. And I love what Priya said here. You can drive everything, you can have a mindset, but you must have an unassailable technical capability. That in your mind, you have that confidence, I'm the best. And I think that goes to another angle, right? The women should feel very confident. And so along that journey, I would try, I'm very conscious about what could be the factors that actually stops my success. And I worked very consciously. And from that point onward, I was very conscious, like I will not let my gender be my block. So because of that, sometimes, you have a bad experience. I always say, you can say all the nasty things for 30 minutes about your bad experience, cry, go shopping or whatever. Then you pivot to use it or to build your character and strength. So there's been journeys along the way. So I do set a personal KPI on how to advance, Clarice. You have to be very conscious about it. And I think then when I've reached there, I then look to sponsor women to succeed. So for me, when people ask, what about this statement that, do you as a HR person look at skill sets, or do you look at the gender to make up your ratio? I don't partake in any washing, green, purple, white, or any washing, because I think you want to stand for what is really authentic. So even if I influence one woman to have the confidence to volunteer for a role and go for the role, I would consider myself successful. And that's another thing I also learned along the journey is, apart from technical competence, at 60% capability, woman, just put up your hand, because that experience in the project, particularly if it's multi-country, multi-discipline, is phenomenal. So then you build visibility for yourself. You build visibility based on your capability. And then gender doesn't become a question. But let's not kid ourselves. In my organizations, we have presence in country where there is a society pressure about women. So in that, I was very proud, because at that country, the board said, I want a man to always sponsor at least 2 women to come up, be a sponsor, And I think that's good, because you need sponsorship beyond just one person, the board, the management. So I was proud to be part of that decision making to put it through. If you ask me whether we've been successful, yes. Has it been at a level that's big enough? I think it could be bigger. Could it be faster? But it's human nature, right? You want bigger, faster, and everything else. So that's my personal KPI. You drive yourself, and when you are in a position, and like I said again, you don't have to be in a CXO position. You're in a position of influence. You bring up 10 other people. And then that is a rippling effect. You make a ripple, then you make a wave. I hate to use the word tsunami because it has such a negative connotation, but I think that's the impact I would share with you, Clarice.
Thank you. And it sounds like, allyship is very important. You mentioned having sponsorship and, one man sponsoring 2 women. Has that been important as well, getting the men as your ally in your career?
For me, absolutely, absolutely. Look at the statistics. How many men are in more critical leadership positions? But I also ask the women, let's not backbite each other. Every woman you bring ahead is 10 women, because you create role models into the societal fabric, right? I think having strong male allies has been very, very important. So for one of the banks, and even now where I am, I always make sure that the male allies chapter are formally launched, because I think it is also important to acknowledge men who have had the courage to advocate women. If you read some of the literature on unconscious bias, some of the men who come up supported women have had reviving effects from other men, and sometimes from the women who says, why do you think I need a man to promote my case? I'm like, okay, everybody chill. We need everybody's help, men or women. So I believe I've been very lucky to have a lot of male allies as my bosses or sponsors. And I've had one powerful woman actually I was in Singapore at that time, where she was such a role model that she was promoting a lot of these gender drives even before it became fashionable.
Oh, thank you, Norlida. And how about you, Priya? Has this sort of sponsorship and mentorship been important in your career in fostering inclusion?
Excellent, yeah. This is definitely required, because and that brings me to another thought, something called positive masculinity. And of course, women should also always support women. But, I was going through a webinar which was hosted in our Women PowerUP network. It talked about positive masculinity. How men can help women to bring out the best version of themselves. And not only they are helping women, but they're creating a positive impact in the society, because they are a role model to their sons, their brothers, and even their peers. So it is very, very important that we take men along the way, just as you got Suria today on the panel discussion, so that they can be our allies and they can look at the problems in a different lens as well. We women will always complain, we don't have this thing, that thing, but then men can provide you the different perspective. and provide you that support or provide you with the skills, the tools, the techniques to navigate this world of men. Okay. And in my life also, in my career also, of course, my mentor has been a man. And the one thing that he told me is that you are a project manager, your projects are succeeding, but always think what value you are adding as an individual to that project. And that is always there at the back of my mind. Whenever I'm doing something, am I adding some value to the team? When I'm running an initiative, what is my contribution? See, in an organization, there are like 20 people reporting to me. I tell them, do this, do that. They will always listen to me. What is my contribution? So again, be a role model, lead by example, and that's how you can, be that, that person who can be a mentor for others.
Yes, the value that you bring is very important. Your individual contribution, right? Apart from the mentorship and the sponsorship that you have. And talking about mentorship, I think PMI, we have that mentorship and it's been important in the chapter. And Suria, PMI Singapore, we have the mentorship program. Do you think that that has been important in helping a lot of our careers for our project managers in fostering inclusion as well? What's your take on that?
Absolutely. I will always vote for mentor-mentee relationship. I look at it from two angles. Let's say as an individual, I can have mentor from different sex. For example, I have a woman leader as my mentor or as my mentee, and vice versa. A woman professional can have mentor from the male, right? So when we have that kind of mentor-mentee relationship, both learn each other's perspective, and then from that mentor-mentee relationships, it helps them in terms of what aspect they can consider in order to make sure that they are getting accepted in a larger group, and also how they can move in the ladder by having a good network and then good interaction from the mentor-mentee. So this is from the organization perspective. In PMI, especially, it is very, very important in the sense here the mentor and mentee come from different backgrounds, different companies, and different experience and different demography, right? So in that way, PMI mentor-mentee program, mentorship program has done a lot. In 6 years, we have done almost like 180 plus mentor-mentee pairs. And then recently I attended the ceremony, the concluding ceremony for this term. When I interacted with the team, they are very, very positive about what they have gained and what insights they have got and what how it helped them in their personal growth as well as the career growth. So I'm a strong supporter of mentor-mentee relationship. And I would even say that don't restrict yourself to one mentor or one mentee. You can always have several mentors and then several mentees. The more you have mentor and mentee, the more you interact, the more you understand, the more you collaborate. We develop as a leader individually, and we also develop our women leaders or leaders from other demography.
Yes.
So that's the take.
Yes, I think giving back is also very important, right? As part of this mentor-mentee relationship, especially from mentors where we have, come to a certain level in our leadership, and giving back, and like Norlida said, giving back and sponsoring other women in that organization or other project managers, be it men or women, helping them grow as part of their journey. We've talked quite a bit and almost for an hour now, and we've got the last 5 minutes. And so what I would love is for you, each of you, to share, what is your last thoughts in summary in helping our teams, our project managers, women, men alike, to help inclusion and diversity in their workplace. So maybe we'll start with you, Suria.
Yeah, as we heard from Joshua, we know the advantages of having inclusion in our workplace, as well as for the personal development. We also heard the story from SoHyun, right? So it is very, very important to have the inclusion for the obvious advantages we gain. So both at the organization level, And both as a project level and also as an individual level, we need to look at what are the actions or initiatives we can take. In organization level, they have various actions to take, like go for the have all the employees go through the training, create awareness through various networks, and then have focus group. Like in my company, we have a focus group, Women Impact Network team. So they play a lot of role in liaising with the Women's Engineer Society and then get the professionals into the organization. Like that, at the organization level, we have various actions to take. At the project level, we have seen what are the actions we can take. And at the individual level also, we have here today what actions we can take in order to develop ourselves, like 360-degree feedback, training, and various actions we can take individually. So we are not there. We are still have a lot of things to, way to catch up, to go there, to achieve the inclusion target. So we need to work at the organization level, project level, and individual level very hard in order to reach there. So that is my take on the inclusion.
Thank you, Suria. Priya, any last words of advice for our team?
Yeah, so for me, it all begins with you. So dream very, very big, okay? Try to uncover your unconscious bias, work towards your dream, and never quit. There'll be lots of challenges. Be consistent and don't quit.
Oh, yes, be strong. Norlida, how about yourself? Last words for everyone.
For everyone, I'd love for you all to be associated with an advocacy group. I mean, you know, Suria is so structured in putting the 3 layers, but there's one angle that I want to add is the communities that we have outside our work, because we can influence that from both like this PMI, which is the, you know, within a professional body, you build that advocacy group, or whether it's 30% or lean in or anything you want to call it, that will have a focus agenda. I don't think there'll be too many for everybody. You know what I mean? Let's just go for it and make that, like I said, make that first ripple. And then you'd be amazed how it just goes on. It's a power of it's a multiplier effect. So I'm looking forward that a lot of the PMI people attendees today are inspired. And that was the theme, right? Inspire for inclusion. Find that role model, find that sponsor, and you yourself take on that role. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you, our panelists, Suria, Norlida, and Priya, for your insightful experience and the sharing. Wonderful session. Thank you. I'm not sure if you have any questions. Does anyone have a question, a Q&A for our panel?
I believe there was a question from the chat. Let me check, yeah. Okay, somebody did ask about the 360 framework. So probably we need to look on that. Because they're not sure about what the 360 framework is. And another one is probably, okay, how do you encourage a woman to step up to a leadership role within the company, given the various roles that she's currently playing? For example, wife, mom, daughter, co-worker. So any one of the panelists wants to take the answer? Wants to take the question?
Yeah, I will take the question for the 360-degree feedback. It is a process in which we get feedback from all the stakeholders who are working with us or who have interacted with us. And there are various companies who can do the 360-degree survey. The beauty of the survey is like whoever the respondents, we do not know who gave what feedback. We only know what feedback we received. And then from that, the individual or the organization, like employment opinion survey, the organization come out with various actions to address the feedback received and improve further. So that is with reference to the 360 feedback. In an organization, you can approach your HR, who can create the 360-degree feedback in your organization.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting one, the 360, because a lot of us have only our boss feedback. And what is very important is to have, when Suria says stakeholders, it means people in your team that are reporting to you, not only down, but also from the side, and getting them to come in to give that 360 feedback.
Including your own boss. including your
Yeah,
own
including your new boss or
Yeah.
people who are not your boss or even your project sponsor or sponsorships or your mentor, right? Everyone in that organization, and that forms the 360 sort of framework that we talk about. Thank you, Suria. And to the other question about a wife and a mom and a daughter, Priya or Norlida, any one of you would like to answer that question?
I could do that. So again, I will say that, there'll be lots of obstacles. You have to be consistent. You have to dream big and you have to work towards it and find a mentor. It could be a man, it could be a woman, it could be whoever, right? Who will guide you and help you to navigate the complexities. Over to you, Norlida.
Very quick one. I think one of the other persons in your life that will matter is the partner, your life partner. And just like what Priya said, make the choices. I find that those who have very supportive partners or a whole home system that supports the women, you can go further. I have one director who once told me is, Ollie, a woman can have everything, but not at the same time. So prioritize, because I think with this competing responsibility and challenges, one of the 4 things that comes to a woman is actually their well-being. You're forced to be superwoman. Why do you want to be a superwoman? If you're married or partnered with a superman, then you'll be a superwoman. Otherwise, be yourself and be fulfilled. You know what I mean? We all want to be the best, but we mustn't sacrifice ourselves, because our cup has to be full before we can fill others. That is so important these days under our challenges. And I see as an HR practitioner, the burnout, the overburden. Let's share responsibilities across all genders and all the intersectionality of differences, but prioritize.
Yes. The support in the family is very important. If we have a Superman, that would be awesome for all women here. I think they all want a Superman in their lives. But a supportive family is very important. I've seen that as well in my organization, where, all the successful women have supporting, be it a helper or supportive parents, just to help, because there's so much that we are doing as part of that community and the work. So thank you very much. Over to you, Shah, for closing this panel and moving on to our other agendas for the day.
Yeah, okay, before we end this session, we need, sorry, can you spotlight again the speakers, because there was a request that we would love to take a photo with the speakers and the moderator, all the 4 of you together. we took some just now, but none of you guys were smiling at the same time, so we want to take a smiley photo. So Priya, okay, all right, cool. All right, ready everyone? So let me just okay, so 1, 2, 3, go. Oh yeah, again, yeah, I like that. Can we post with the love like that? Clarice, probably a different kind of the love, the heart shape. Okay, all right. 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right, I guess that's nicely done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let me reshare my slide. So thank you again to Clarice for a well-executed session. And thank you to all the panel speakers for your insightful sharing. I really enjoyed listening to all of them. So my little summary of what we've been spoken just now, I really like the last statement about we can't be a superwoman unless we're married to a superman. So to summarize, that man and woman, we actually complement each other. So we need each other in this way, right? So what we need to do next is, of course, to continue to advocate women empowerment and inclusive leadership. All right, so let me go and show you. I'm going to play a reel from the Post and Snap Challenge. This challenge was initiated by the PMI Malaysia chapter WiPM's organizing committee on 26 January 2024 in conjunction to the International Women's Day. So this second reel portrays the compilation of photos and tagline for IWD team Inspire Inclusion. Enjoy. Nicely done. Beautiful photos, everyone. Sorry. All right. So we've gotten several submissions globally from from across the globe, and we actually choose 6 best poses with interesting taglines, which consisting of 1 male and 1 female from each PMI Malaysia chapter, PMI Singapore, and 2 best submissions from international participants. So here are the winners. So from Malaysia, we have Norlida Talajuddin with the tagline, "Women are best planners." And we also have Muhammad Hussein bin Rasul Muhammad with the tagline, "Inspiring inclusion in every frame." From Singapore, we have, okay, it's actually anonymous, but we know who they are. So we have the tagline here, "Inclusive empowerment, celebrating women's achievement." And another male from Singapore is Jeffrey Brown, "Empowered Voices, United Strength, PMI celebrates International Women's Day." And last but not least, we have from international participants, we have Priya Patra with "Dream Big, work towards it and never quit." And another winner, we have Cecilia Boggy with "You have no limits. Don't allow anyone limiting you." So unfortunately, we don't have any male participants, so we're going to give to our 2 beautiful ladies. So congratulations to all lucky winners. So to all winners, the chapter will connect to you through your email registered for the submission. So please check your email within these 2 weeks to claim your prize. So it is now the time to present the certificate of appreciation to all the speakers involved in today's International Women's Day event. So the first one goes to the keynote speaker, Ms. SoHyun Kang. The second certificate is presented to Puan Norlida Azmi, a panel speaker in the Fireside chat. The third certificate is presented to Ms. Priya Patra, also another panel speaker. And we also have Mr. Suria as the fourth certificate given to you, also as part of the panel speaker. And last but not least, as a moderator, we are giving you the certificate of appreciation to Clarice. as we are coming to the end of our event, I would like to welcome Mr. Suria, the President of PMI Singapore Chapter, to deliver his closing remarks.
Yeah, thank you, Samuel. Thank you. What a session we had today. What an inspiring session we had today. We started the session by Joshua giving the statistics that can inspire us to work towards the inclusion, DEI, right? So the statistics which he shared are very inspiring and give us the goal to work towards the DEI. Then we had the sharing session with from our SoHyun and telling her personal story of success story, and then inspiring how the woman can become the efficient leaders like she is. And in addition to that, what struck me is, like she said, around 129 million of women are yet to go to school. It is very staggering figure. And what I would think is, as an individual, organizations definitely will do. We need to also think about, as individual, what we can do in order to close the gap, not only in overall perspective of promoting the DEI, but also addressing the needs such as what has been mentioned. And we had inspiring learning sessions from the various participants, how they inspire DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion in our workplaces. So these are the valuable feedback that we had in this session. And last but not the least, and most importantly, the panel discussion we had very efficient and inspiring leaders. I'm excluding myself, other leaders who have given their valuable thoughts and valuable feedback in how we can promote DEI at an individual level, as well as a leader, what we can do in order to promote the DEI. In conclusion, definitely we are not there. We are striving to be there as a team, and as an individual and as a leader in our personal life or social life, as well as a leader in the corporate world. We, each and every one of us, have to put conscious efforts in order to promote, in order to include women leaders, as well as the women professionals, as well as the other professionals from other demographics, right? So the diversity, equity, and inclusion is a very, very important thing which we need to continue to do in order to achieve whatever advantages we talked about, and let us work towards that. And with this, I feel very, I feel very much happy to be part of this session today. And thank you very much. Thanks for being part of this session, and let us continue to do our work. Thank you.
Thank you, Suria, for your insightful speech. Okay, I guess my favorite session of today is finally here. Yeah, so before we end today's event, let's take a group photo together. So I'm going to stop sharing. And let's switch on your camera and put your biggest smile ever. So everybody, please switch on your camera. Let me change my view so I can see everyone. We have five pages, so we're going to have to take all 5. Okay. I'm giving some time for people to switch on their cameras. So you still have time to comb your hair. Guys, if you have hair, if you don't have hair, it's okay. You want to put a hat, go ahead. Ladies, you may want to put on your lipstick. You know, it depends. Touch up your makeup. Let me see. So I have 5 pages. So page 1 is, yeah, everyone's turning on their camera, except for, I think Alicia can see you. All right, can see you now. Okay, good. So we have full.
Shall we do the heart shape for everyone?
Oh, yes, yes, please do. Let's do a heart shape like this. Can everyone see how I'm doing it? Yeah, yes, that's how it is. All right, cool. So let me see who else. Okay, not allowed to switch camera.
You can also do it with one hand. Easier.
Yeah, you can do it one hand too if you can't use both hands. Okay, I guess we are all ready. So okay. All right, so everyone, so I'm just gonna do different because I'm gonna take photo. All right, so everyone smile, give your biggest smile to the camera. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's for page 1. So I'm gonna go continue to page 2. Okay, those in page 2.
Oh, we won't know if we're in page 1 or 2.
Yeah, you just keep holding your smile, everyone. You don't know where you are.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, okay, just
Yeah,
continue
keep
smiling.
smiling.
Your best smile.
1, 2, 3. Okay, one more time. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I have 2 more. Okay, hold on. 1, 2, 3. Oops, hold on. All right. One more. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, I guess that's all. All right, so but before, okay, I'm gonna share my screen again. You need to do this one last thing. You cannot go yet. Okay, so what you need to do next is I need your help. You need to please scan the QR code to provide your details and feedback. Yeah, but this is not just for improvement purposes only, but this is important because we are going to send you your PDU code. Yeah, we're going to send to you your PDU code via email by respective party. So if you register via PMI Malaysia, PMI Malaysia will be reaching out to you with PDU code and vice versa for those who registered via PMI Singapore chapter. Yeah. So I guess that's a wrap, everyone. So thank you everyone for being part of our inspiring journey to inclusion. As we close this chapter, let's continue to inspire inclusion every day. Thank you and have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care and bye-bye.
Yeah.